Now, top story this hour, North Korea has said that its recent missile tests were tactical nuclear drills overseen by Supreme Leader Kim Jong Un and comes as a response to US-led drills in the region. North Korean state media, the KCNA, released two pictures of Kim Jong Un overseeing these tests and said that Pyongyang decided to organize the military drills under the simulation of an actual war. The state media has said that North Korean army units were involved in the operation that went on from the 25th of September to the 9th of October. The aim of the operations was to check and assess the war deterrent along with the nuclear counter-attack capability of the country. Pyongyang says that it demonstrated the effectiveness of its nuclear combat forces and that it stands ready to hit and destroy targets from any location. But what's more concerning here is the North's statement. I'm quoting, "Even though the enemy continues to talk about dialogue and negotiations, we do not have anything to talk about, nor do we feel the need to do so." Kim has long wanted to develop tactical nukes, smaller, lighter weapons designed for battlefield use. He has also made developing small nuclear weapons a top priority at a key party congress in January last year. Last month, North Korea revised its nuclear laws, envisaging a wide array of scenarios in which it could use these nukes. Kim has declared North Korea an irreversible nuclear power, effectively ending the possibility of denuclearization talks. Now, the escalation in the Korean peninsula comes after the United States and South Korea held joint military exercises involving a U.S. aircraft carrier on Friday. The exercises involved the U.S. carrier Ronald Reagan and its strike group as well. Prior to that, the naval forces of South Korea, Japan and United States had also conducted joint drills. Now, for more on this, we're being joined by our correspondent, Chris Gilbert from Tokyo. Chris, thank you for joining us. Firm response by North Korea. How do you assess the impact of this on regional issues, especially at a time when, one, we're seeing the war in Ukraine, also heightened tensions in the Taiwan Strait, and, of course, the Congress in China?
Well, South Korea is concerned that with these upcoming world events, such as the Party Congress in China, that North Korea may attempt to draw even more attention to itself with a nuclear test potentially timed between the Party Congress and the United States midterm elections. There's also concerns about how sophisticated North Korea's missiles are becoming. Of course, the one it launched on Tuesday, the longest any North Korean missile has ever flown, and also the increased capability of its nuclear program as well. Both those concerns voiced by Japan's self-defense forces last week. Of course, those missiles were met with condemnation, and a few months ago, Pyongyang says, well, we're conducting this missile test because we're concerned that a new Asian NATO, or what it perceives to be an Asian NATO, are forming around it, alliances between countries like the United States, Japan and South Korea. And these ongoing nuclear missile tests do certainly seem to be mending ties or pushing these countries closer together. Multiple phone calls last week between leaders of these countries, and now the Canadian foreign minister is now visiting the region, South Korea and Tokyo this week as well, and the foreign ministers of Japan and Malaysia spoke just yesterday, all discussing regional security, the ongoing threat of these missile tests. There may be other threats in the region they may be identifying as well, such as the increasing influence of China. But for now, all fingers are pointing at North Korea and the potential for a nuclear test by the end of the year.
Right, absolutely. Also, that being said, what sort of response can we expect going forward to these nuclear drills? North Korea has completely ruled out the possibility of talks.
Well, it depends on the extent to which these are perceived opponent countries, such as the United States and Japan, South Korea, of course, Quad countries like India and Australia. It depends how much these countries have accepted that North Korea is now a nuclear country and how much they're willing to tolerate that as long as North Korea does not cross any red lines, such as attacking another country. For Japan, a lot hangs in the balance of the world events I mentioned earlier, the Party Congress in China and the midterm elections, because in terms of regional security, its main working partner that it needs to keep an eye on is China. It has a very close business relationship with China, $230 billion of trade just last year, but it has a security alliance with North America. So for Japan in particular, it's quite a precarious and awkward situation, but all countries are really waiting to see what happens next in terms of these world events and in terms of a North Korean nuclear test.
Right. Well, Chris, thank you so much for bringing us all the inputs on this. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the news on the move.